Hello, and welcome back to Popcorn and Beers, where some use tomatoes and others use thumbs. We use the stuff that gets you drunk. And thank you to Golden, Colorado for that all head opening of a beer, because now my shorts smell like beer, and that is fantastic, I guess. All right, Jordan. So it was a slow week, and we're going to have back-to-back slow weeks, it looks like. So we're going to have to entertain the audience with what we were watching and your drunk classic, because let's just say this week's Butter on Top all of a sudden was free on Peacock and not the best movie ever. I don't want to lead you, but what did you think?
That was Five Nights at Freddy's in theaters and streaming on Peacock simultaneously for free. Well, if you have a membership or something complicated
Nothing
with
in life is free.
streaming. Yeah, it was fine. Some decent acting and just like it was like almost like a low budget movie, the style of it, but it wasn't. Matthew Lillard sighting. He's always good, but all I ever hear now is Shaggy. Since he took over the voices, a huge Scooby-Doo fan. I still watch the animated movies when they come out, the new ones and all that. All I hear is Shaggy now. And it's great, but it kind of sucks because I love Matthew Lillard in anything.
He looked old. He did a good job looking
He
old,
did.
though.
He did. Girl who looks like Amber Turd but is not. Different girl. That's the girl from the TV show You that we've reviewed in the past.
Oh yeah, okay.
She's
Yeah,
really cute.
you like that show.
Yeah, good show. I like
Just didn't like the last season.
It's tapering off it's falling off a cliff super hard. It's for a short movie, it takes way too long to get into what we're all there to see.
Yeah.
And I just feel like there's not enough of it. We need more robot, what do they call
Animatronic killers? Like you just want more scenes with the murderous animatronics?
Yes. More hijinks with the animatronic monster things.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, looked very creepy and cool and moved really cool and all that. Like I really enjoyed how they did that with the machine things. The little girl was super annoying. I loved the aunt's lawyer. It's like, I shouldn't be hearing this. Tries to get up to sit down. I really shouldn't be hearing this.
The little girl did a great job of representing my view of kids today. Like they just don't listen to anything. And then it's like, all right, you burnt your hand on the stove and now you want me to wrap it, but I'm not going to because I told you not to touch that stove 90 times. Like there's a scene where she gets electrocuted and I was like, yeah, just let that happen. She wasn't listening. You told her no.
Yeah. Teachable moment.
Exactly. Now she knows.
On the surface, it seems like it's supposed to be this like fun, thriller, scary movie, this fun little adventure type movie, but they try to layer in this really heavy, deep subplot about a childhood trauma, and it's good. I thought that on its own, that little subplot could have been like a decent, I don't know, anthology episode or another good movie maybe, but I feel like that took too much precedent in this movie. Like there could have been a little less of that and a little more animatronic hijinks.
Or just lean into it and have fun.
Yeah.
Just lean into it. You're not you're not going to win an Oscar here.
Yeah.
All right. Just lean into it.
I had low expectations and it didn't even quite get to those low expectations. I give this a popcorn.
Right on. Like I thought it was fun. It was nice to see Matthew Lillard in a slasher again. I mean, that guy's been around for 30 years now. That's so wild to think about, especially like R.I.P. With Matthew Perry.
Yeah.
But 30 years in movies, like even if he's in ancillary roles now, like wow. That's insane to me. Especially when we start talking about what was our drunk classic here, and I look at all the faces that were in that movie, and even some of them have passed now. Five Nights at Freddy's, you got your troubled man trying to raise his little sister. It never talks about how the parents died. It just says mom died and dad couldn't take it. I don't think I'm spoiling anything there. It's just
or he abandoned them.
Or he abandoned them. No, he says both the parents are dead though.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I do love though that the villain is Karen, right? The villain is just Karen.
Yeah.
to who the villain in this movie is. I don't think the villain is the murderous animatronic robots. I think it's Karen.
Yeah.
And that made me laugh. The lawyer was funny. You nailed that part. But in his desperation to keep his little sister with him, he, instead of just taking another security job, takes this "we're gonna murder you" security job. And it goes down this supernatural path without ever really. How are they supernatural? I don't get that, but they are. It's just interesting. And some of you who have been loyal followers to Popcorn and Beers for a while now know I reviewed Wacky Willie's Wonderland. And if you want to see this film done better, watch Nicolas Cage just Nicolas Caging his ass off in Wacky Willie's Wonderland. It is a lot better. This isn't a bad movie. It's not a good movie. It is going to make you laugh. There's some funny parts. I think Josh is going to love this movie when he gets to it, but for me, it was just okay. Popcorn for me. The bunny was just, I think it was a really good chef's kiss at the end, and it could have been a really great part of a really funny horror movie if they had just leaned into it. But let's get to the drunk classic. Let's get to the drunk classic, which was Identity. I gave it a pop too. It's got just, what a cast, right? Amanda Peet, John Cusack, Ray Liotta, Nolte's son, right? Nick Nolte's son?
Gary Busey's son.
Gary Busey's son, pardon me.
Yes.
It is a psychological thriller that takes place at a motel, right? And I don't want to give any spoilers, but this motel holds a pretty deep significance to the movie because both the main character in this movie, the murderer, was left at a hotel or a motel as a child by his prostitute mother. And all the people he murdered during his murderous rampage were at a hotel in different states, right? And this is all revealed to you in like a what kind of methodology as you start to find out later in the film. They're all named after different states. And if you put the pieces together, they're each named after a city and state where he murdered someone. So very interesting there. It's a really deep cut, and you have to watch it a couple times to really catch on. You'll start to realize stuff as you watch it. You'll know the plot, and you'll know who the killer is, right? But at the same time, there's so much to like pick apart here, different pieces. Even in the bedtime story, the bedtime rhyme, the nursery rhyme he reads to himself or says out loud, from him to the psychologist, how they convince the lawyer. It's weird this movie's 20 years old, too. It is weird this movie's 20 years old because I feel like this movie could get made today again.
Oh, yeah.
And be a good movie.
For sure.
Both parents die in a very brutal way. Like, that kid's never going to jaywalk. Like, ever. He'll never jaywalk. After watching both of his parents get hit by cars in two different ways, like, that kid will never jaywalk ever for the rest of his life. There's not a lot of time wasted in this film for me. I think it's 90 minutes of just go, 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 especially if you've never seen it before. I think you're going to be kind of enthralled with the story. For me, it is a pop +2. Jordan, what did you think?
I'd give it a very high, I'm going to go pop 2 as well.
Ooh, thank you.
Yeah, it's only the second time I've seen the movie. The first time I saw it, I was kind of, I think someone had left the TV on, like the AMC channel or something like that. And I walked into the room and I went, oh, look, I know that. I know Ray Liotta. Hey, look, John Cusack. I know all these faces.
Yeah.
And I just kind of got sucked into it. And it's one of those movies where you don't really know where it's going or what's happening. It's like this kind of whodunit killer thing with a really great atmosphere. I love the storming and the
whole time,
the motel and all that. Like it's a really cool, creepy atmosphere. And I remember being a little like thinking the first time I saw the ending, like it's a little too far fetched for me. But since seeing other movies come out that have this same theme, I don't know if I want to spoil it, what exactly is going on there. I buy into it a lot easier now, and I think I definitely will put it in a pop 2. But like you said, great cast, all those people, some sub guys, Alfred Molina, who's Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2, great actor. He's in a lot of other things.
Plays a doctor in this too.
Yeah, he has doctor face.
Yeah, he does have a doctor face. That guy just kind of looks like a doctor.
Yeah. Yeah, just a creepy good movie. John Cusack, I mean, he's just the monotone guy that's just, I don't know how like what makes a director go, we need John Cusack for this role. Like, I mean,
Wow, you and Josh on the same page there.
he has some roles like I like 1408 just to,
Mm, the
I
Stephen King.
yeah, it's a good movie. I like him in that one for sure.
Okay.
But I'm gonna stick with this. A Popcorn and Two. I liked it. Good pick. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's throw it over to Josh and see what Josh thought.
Let's get these things on here, you know what I mean? Don't mind the shirt. Hey, Identity. Cusack. I don't know. He's just like your cousin. He's just like somebody's cousin. Identity was a pretty good movie. This movie's a lot like 10 Little Indians, the 1989 film. As soon as I noticed it, they, like, 5 seconds later called it out. And then they, like, directly called it out. Like, oh, this is just like that movie. But, of course, the movie has a twist. It has maybe, I don't know if you want to call it 2 twists, but there's something going on. There's a lot of psychoses. Multiple personalities is introduced right in the beginning, but it's not really mentioned fully until 3/4 through, and then you're in a new end game. Man, it was entertaining. I liked the movie. The characters were all, I would say none of the characters are really complex, but they play a specific role. They're very clear-cut templates. One guy is the worrier, and one guy is the hero, and one guy is the maniac, and they played that out like it's a game of Clue, who done it, that kind of thing. People start dying. I don't know. It was cool. It was well shot. It wasn't necessarily scary. It wasn't necessarily a slasher. It wasn't really a mystery, but it was a little bit of everything. I don't know how they managed to cast the kid from Looper, I don't know, 20 years before, maybe 15 years before Looper happened. How did he stay a kid that long? Weird. I give the movie a popcorn and 1 beer.
All right, so Josh, in slight disagreement with us, giving it a pop 1, but he gave it some favorable comparisons there. I think he compared it to Alfred Hitchcock.
If you definitely have to watch this like a second or third time to pick up on all of that stuff. It's a lot.
Yeah, maybe get like, you know how we study film in sports? Maybe get a film tape of just that character. Let me just watch this character here. Let me see what's going on here.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get on to what we were watching for the audience. For me, I had on Apple TV Plus again, because I'm catching up on all these shows that I fell behind on, and I was watching Invasion. And that is an alien TV show that, an alien invasion TV show that Apple TV Plus released. I want to say last year I got really into it. I might be off by a year, but I believe it was last year, and they are back. And the aliens are pissed because we found a way to attack the aliens very early. The Japanese scientist from season 1 is back, and she is not a renegade, as the tech bro kidnaps her and convinces her that she is humanity's last hope because she can speak the alien language. Which is weird because multiple episodes she's like, I can speak their language. And we're like, yeah, I think like they kind of alluded to that. Like the episode 1 of season 2, and then they hit it again at the end. Oh, I can speak their language. I was like, okay, this is the third time like that you've discovered this. Can we just have the discovery made and just keep going?
Yeah.
We follow. You speak their language. But your favorite Middle Eastern family is back as well, and this time the son has some new powers. And the son, though he is a crybaby in the first couple episodes, his character evolves into a character you're kind of rooting for. But again, you have your usual suspects from season 1. They're all back. The world's military, I want to call it, because I don't know if it's just the United States military, because we are all in a world war, if you will, against these aliens, are trying to figure out ways to hack the aliens. And the only way that they know how is obviously to do science experiments on people that were abducted by these aliens, right? Or children with special powers. So we kind of lean into that realm. I'm going to give it a pop +1. The Hunter Killers are really cool. They're this unstoppable alien until they run into a little boy that can see through their eyes because he came into contact with an alien tree that gave him these special powers in season 1. But it was going to get a pop.
Alien trees.
It was they terraformed Earth trees into an alien tree is kind of what happened. but I don't know if you're into like alien stuff. For me, I have trouble stopping watching things. Like I need to see how it ends, even if it's terrible. That's why I can't watch these new spin-offs of The Walking Dead, because they're going to lock me in for another 20 seasons, and the last 7 seasons are going to be terrible, and I'm just going to be like, what happens at the end? Just tell me what happens. So I will say I hate watch the show for like the whole middle section of the series, right? Episode 1, okay, cool, we're back. Who's there? The whole middle, crying kids, little babies. Oh my god, my parents left. My dad cheated on my mom. All right, and then we get to like cool storyline, fighting aliens, Navy SEALs, Army experimenting on people that were abducted. So pop 1 for me there. And then I watched a classic, You, Me, and Dupree with Owen Wilson and Matt Dillon, Kate Hudson. It is a story of a man's best friend throughout life having to move in with him and his wife, Kate Hudson, and madness ensues, right? Because Matt Dillon starts to think that there's an affair going on with his best friend and his wife because they get along. Matt Dillon starts to like look at himself and need a little bit of Dupree in his life because perhaps he's too serious and he needs that Dupree character to remind him that it's okay to be grounded. But also you get Owen Wilson, who doesn't really want to work, but somehow he finds his way, right? That friend that always finds a way to land on their feet. And you don't really know what they're doing or how they're doing it, but they always manage to survive. And that is Dupree. I got to say, I've quoted this line multiple times. He's interviewing for a job, right? And he sits down and he goes, well, what's your guys' policy on Columbus Day? And the guy goes, we work. And he goes, really? Guy discovered the new world, man. He goes, well, we tried. And he gets up and walks away. I love that. I've quoted that countless times. I find that so funny because I do see a lot of humans acting in that way. But Josh, what were you watching this week?
I also got to watch one of my classics. I would have held it, or if October was a little longer, I would have used it as a drunk classic. But like Jordan with his movies, I have my movie that I kind of have to watch once a year. For Halloween, I need to watch The Crow. The Crow still holds up, dude. The Crow is a great movie. It's a popcorn 1. I want to say popcorn and 2. Maybe it's a popcorn and 2. It has so much corn, and it is dated in a way that's a little much, but it's charming. Everything about it that's the flaw is kind of charming about it. I don't know, maybe that's just me being biased, but the soundtrack is extremely grunge era, and they kind of just insert songs for no reason, but they fit, I guess. You know, you got to give it a suspension of disbelief just for the soundtrack. Yeah, I'd say the movie's good. It had a lot of elements that superhero movies don't do anymore, and it felt like it was definitely a comic book the whole time. Not in the way they go, oh, this is corny, but just the vibe of it really felt like a gothic era 90s comic book. The acting, the lines, the action, the shots they just decide to shoot where he's like crouching next to the motel sign and playing the guitar solo on the roof in the rain, screaming into the night. I liked how, see, the thing about The Crow, if you haven't seen it, he was brutally murdered and raped, or his girlfriend was, and they were about to get married the next day, which would be Halloween. So on Devil's Night, they got brutally murdered, and he came back to life. The Crow brought him back to life. So he has powers, and he has a crow familiar, and he can see through the crow's eyes. If the crow dies, he dies, that sort of thing. He's an Avenger, so he's really going after just kind of the guys that did the deed, and he one by one finds them and brutally beats them up and murders them. And he can heal you of heroin or heal you of morphine, and he can heal bullets. He doesn't really, like a lot of superhero movies and such, when you get superhero powers, all of a sudden you know how to fight, like you know karate and stuff. He doesn't. He might know how to fight, but it was very raw and hardly choreographed. I don't know if that was on purpose or not. Probably not. But maybe he's a little bit supernaturally strong. He has some supernatural reflexes, kind of, but mostly he's just throwing people around and being tough. So that was a nice thing, kind of fresh, but I don't know. I liked it. It's a perfect snapshot of the gothic fantasy world. Like it was Gotham, like not Batman's Gotham, but kind of Tim Curry Batman's Gotham, but like Gotham in the metaphorical sense or the figurative sense of this nightmare world. Not nightmare, but always raining, dark and dusky, and everything's beat up and broken, and it's never daytime. It captured an aesthetic that was really well done, and I think the movie still holds up. So after saying all that, Popcorn and 2, rest in peace, Brandon Lee, and fire it up.
All right, so Josh and The Crow. I will attest that is one of his favorite movies. I don't think this is the last time we're going to hear about The Crow. Josh is going to forget that he did it, and he's going to give us another review on The Crow at some point in time. And we're all just going to go with it. We're just going to go with it because you know what? It's one of his favorite movies, and I'll be damned if I will stop him from enjoying and talking about that movie. So, Jordan, what were you watching?
So I started off this week. I got sucked into a movie on cable. Final Destination 2, or just can we develop teleportation yet? Like, come on, Elon.
Wasn't Elon supposed to invent a tube a while back? We just tube places. Let's put one of those in the ocean. Just get this over with.
Yeah. So the first one, airplane. Second one, traffic jam, which is like, there's a lot of variables that they try to throw at you. This one's a little more far-fetched, but it is just as like the log truck, for example. Every time you bring up Final Destination 2, everyone goes, I'm terrified of driving behind log trucks now.
Any truck with anything hanging off of it, like if it's got pipes all around, like if it looks like it could come through my windshield and kill me, it brings back that PTSD from that scene.
Dude, I was talking to one of my college professors, and he's into biking. And I was like, oh yeah, I just, for some reason in the conversation, I was like, oh, I'll watch Final Destination 2 this week. And he went, did you know that in California, somewhere in the Bay Area, some Nike exec was on vacation and a log from a log truck rolled off the top of the truck, smashed him, killed him instantly. And his girlfriend or something. And I was like, Jesus Christ, that's horrible. That's so scary. But it's like,
now
these things actually happen.
Jordan.
Yeah. These things actually happen.
Yeah.
Your fears are not unwarranted. And then the third one, the roller coaster. Everyone's terrified of roller coasters, and it's like, but that's where they kind of end. Like they start to suck after that. I think the next one after that is like a NASCAR, and like a car goes flying.
Oh
through
yeah,
the air
like the tire like flips into the crowd and like takes somebody's, like their legs are just left, right?
Yeah, they start to get a little ridiculous. But part 2, I never understood the title for these movies. I mean, it's a great title. It's recognizable. It's part of American pop culture. But I never understood why it's Final Destination.
Because death is the final destination. You're not going anywhere, and death always gets you.
Okay, I guess it's a little poetic for me for these movies, but I'll take it. It's based, again, I did a little bit of research. It's based on something called a Tube Goldberg machine. I don't know if my phone auto-corrected something that doesn't sound right, but it's something like that, where it's like a thing in old cartoons where you have a really complicated machine, like, oh, a little ball spins and it knocks this thing over, and it's like a domino effect, and then it trips this thing that spins in a circle and kicks
like
that over.
Mousetrap.
Yeah, it's based on that. It's really complicated just to have a really simple problem solved. Like, oh, all this crazy contraption happens, and it's just so that makes your toast pop up. You get what I'm saying?
Like in Back to the Future to feed the dog.
Yeah, exactly. So the first mistake with this movie and this franchise is they just kill Devon Sawa, who is the lead character in the first one. And they don't give it, like, he had a scheduling conflict, but they kind of like treated it like he dissed them super hard. Like the way they handled his character was just awful or something.
Yeah.
So, they screwed up the first plot of the movie, of the first film. and they try to explain it again using all this coin terminology and all this convoluted, oh, it's a premonition, and if you have a premonition of a premonition but you intervene, then it's whatever. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. Also, I hate that the girl's name is Clear, not Claire. Clear.
Was that something that bothered you the whole movie?
The whole movie.
What kind of name is Clear?
Yeah, Clear. And I didn't know it. I thought maybe they had like some weird, like a weird affect or like a weird accent in like the first movie, because I'm like, there's no way her name is Clear. They have to be saying this like, no, it's
impossible.
Yeah, the captions confirm that her name is Clear. Oh, okay. So what later sequels lost? The deaths were super over the top, like in this movie, but they're charmingly inventive. Later on, they just get too cartoonish. Like the first three, you have the guy at the gym getting killed, the tanning beds. Yeah, the tanning beds.
Is the tanning bed 1 or 2? That's why I was making that face. I was like,
that's 3.
Is it 3?
That's part 3.
All these movies just blend together after a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first ones, they kind of make it seem like these were all they really could be accidents on their own.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is, they get a little more adventurous. Like, there's a fire escape impaling him. Things like that. The plexiglass get dropped onto the kid when he's coming out of the dentist for scaring the birds,
Does it completely flatten him too? Does his...
Yeah.
That's some heavy plexiglass.
Yeah. So in the later sequels, they just get like, how ridiculous can we get? Like a guy getting sucked through a pool,
like a cleaner.
Like a cleaner, yeah, filter, a pool filter.
Yeah,
gets his insides blown out through a pool filter. It's too much. The lead actress in this one is super monotone. We're all gonna die. I'm so scared. Is literally how she delivers a line.
Yeah.
They have Candyman in this movie. I don't know the actor, who's seemingly clairvoyant. There's no explanation for him or why they keep returning to him for advice.
The morgue, right?
Yeah.
He's the mortician. Yeah.
Just makes no sense. It's a great spin though on that connects the previous deaths to the near. It connects everything to the first movie in a good way. Like, oh, you were supposed to be on Flight 93 as well, but you had this happen, and so now it's all coming back. Like everyone in the second one was supposed to be on that plane in the first one, but wasn't in some form or another. You can't
escape death. I told you.
Yeah, I liked how it connected to that, and I didn't remember that going into this, so it was refreshing, to be like, oh wow, I missed something in this before. I thought it had a great ending, but I still give this a popcorn and 1.
Pop and 1 for Final Destination 2, the movie that traumatized the generation. What was next?
So sometimes on Popcorn and Beers, we do public services for you guys. Please do not waste your time on this movie. I want to leave the popcorn in the bag.
You returned the popcorn?
Yeah.
You set it back on the counter and left?
Yeah. This is an awful movie. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey is streaming on Peacock for free. Is the only good thing about it, is that it's free.
Okay.
The first opening movie. So the exposition of it is Christopher Robin abandons them to go live a normal human life, like goes off to college, gets married. You'd think your friend, you'd think your friends, quote unquote, Winnie the Pooh and Eeyore and Tigger and all them would be happy for the kid. They are not. They're very unhappy with him. So I guess they starve. They start to starve to death, and they eat Eeyore, which makes them cannibalistic and feral and crazy. It says that they go back, they revert to their animal ways and vow to never speak again. So they give up everything human. They want nothing to do with humans. But, they live in houses, they know how to drive cars, and they wear Timberland boots, apparently. So they walk upright, all that.
If they go back to their animal tendencies, why doesn't the bear eat the pig?
Right. Exactly. One of many questions, one of many things about this movie that makes zero sense. The opening sequence, they kill grown Christopher Robin's wife. You know, he goes back to prove to his wife that he are not imaginary.
Yeah.
And they take him captive just to like occasionally torture him throughout the film.
Mm-hmm.
There's just nauseating camera shaking, like on the Blair Witch type of level.
Okay.
It's horrible. Terrible CGI gore throughout the movie, and just every detail about it is bad. They try to make it like a sexy, like there's just random scenes where girls are just like staring in the mirror, rubbing on themselves, like, I'm hot. Like, yeah, it's just, and it goes on for way too long.
Okay.
Yeah, like Winnie the
Without
Pooh.
reason.
Without reason. Like Winnie the Pooh walks in on this girl who's like wandering through a creepy shed for some reason, and he just rips her shirt off to expose her nakedness just for no reason. She screams for a bit, and then he sticks her in a wood chipper, you know?
Okay. All right.
You look away for a minute, for like a minute, and if you look back, look down at your phone because it's a terrible movie and you get bored. Look down at your phone for a second, look up, and you have no idea how it got to where the movie is currently at. You're like,
you
whoa.
do the 10 seconds back, 10 seconds back, 10 seconds back.
Yeah.
What did I miss?
No clue. Yeah. Apparently Winnie the Pooh has bee powers where he can like summon bees like Candyman to like do his dirty work, or he does it like twice, and one of the times it's just for absolutely no reason at all.
Yeah.
Like I said, leave this popcorn in the bag. I don't even want to give it a popcorn.
Okay.
Not a single popcorn kernel. The Boogeyman. It's a primordial creature, makes you afraid of the dark. Doesn't totally rely on the jump scares. It has the good slow creeps.
Mm-hmm.
The creature looks cool, which is always tough to pull off. They have a cool looking primordial prehistoric creature. The little girl
goes to my head is that movie Boogeyman. Every single time. I don't know why. Like when you're explaining, not Boogeyman.
I was going to say it's the same title. Maybe that's why it comes to your head.
Is it? Is there another movie
called Boogeyman? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So I'm right. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was like, man, this kind of reminds me of that old movie, The Boogeyman, and I'm glad I wasn't just like, oh, that's because he's reviewing The Boogeyman.
Yeah. Not a hard leap to make, The Boogeyman to The Boogeyman.
Fair enough.
The little girl who plays a little girl in the movie is played by the same kid that's Princess Leia in Andor.
Okay. Yeah, it was Andor.
Andor, yeah. She's good. She's a good scary movie little kid.
Mm-hmm.
The lead actress is the girl from Yellow Jackets, the TV show Yellow Jackets. She acts her ass off in everything. She's really great. And a couple of other recognizable guys from a bunch of other stuff. Like there's like, oh, hey, I know that guy from this thing. Oh, like a bunch of character actors, bit part guys. Gotcha. The movie, the subplot, the main plot is a little tropish. It's the dad's a therapist, mom dies, kids have issues. Dad can't deal with his kids' issues or his own issues.
But he's a therapist.
It's like kind of a pretty overly used scary movie subplot trope.
Yeah. I think I did that for one of my reviews a while back on a Paramount Plus movie, a horror film, where I was like, can we just stop getting psychologists wrong, or just stop using them over and over again in horror movies?
Yeah, for sure. It ends really good, and it ends like a good little question mark at the end of like a little breadcrumb of you don't actually know. Like this wasn't resolved so cathartically,
Gotcha.
It's a safe movie. Mm-hmm. They didn't get too adventurous with any lore or any kind of, everything was kind of explained to you as most as they could without overreaching.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a safe, scary, make you afraid of the dark thriller movie. I give it a popcorn in one. It's a very watchable popcorn in one, I think.
Pop in one for Boogeyman. So if you're looking for a film to watch on the 31st, which I think is a Wednesday this year, or is it a Tuesday?
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday. Check out The Boogeyman on Disney Plus and Hulu. Disney Plus if you're over here in Europe, and Hulu if you're in the States. Before we lose
October and Halloween, I just want to nominate my best scary movie of this year to watch. If you haven't seen it yet, I've reviewed it a while back when it was in theaters. Watch Talk to Me.
Yeah, it's on Netflix here.
Oh, great. Watch that movie. It's the best scary movie I've seen this year. Really good.
Maybe I'll watch it. Maybe I'll
I
watch
think I
it.
gave it a pop 3.
Maybe I'll watch it tomorrow or this week, and I'll give a little quick what we were watching.
Yeah.
All right. How about now we get that drunk classic?
All right. So I was going to go in a totally different direction, but current affairs brought me to a different choice. You know, we lost Matthew Perry.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to pick something that was teetering on and off my list. It's just a guilty pleasure of mine. Almost Heroes. I'm going to bring us up out of
with
Chris Farley and Matthew Perry. I'm going to bring us out of Halloween. I think this is a good just settling into autumn movie.
All right. So
Yeah.
I thought you were going to go with like either The Whole Nine Yards with Bruce Willis and Amanda Peet or Fools Rush In with Selma Hayek. But you went off board with Almost Heroes.
I'm going cheesy 90s comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in forever. I haven't seen the movie literally probably since maybe I saw it a second time after it came out on like VHS. That's how old this movie is.
Yeah, I have a family member and just like half of our inside jokes are quotes from this movie. It sticks with me on a daily. So I love it.
Okay, awesome. And if you were wondering what the butter on top for this week is going to be, it is going to be Pain Hustlers. So that's 2 weeks in a row. We give you a free one. Join us. Watch it on Netflix this week. Leave some comments about what you think on this video so we know. And Jordan, where can they reach us?
On X at Popcorn and Beer.
On X at Popcorn and Beer. And as always, follow us on the Sad Pan. We're a very sad cooking device. The Sad Fan Podcast Network on YouTube. The Sad Fan, all one word. As always, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you at the movies. You bring the popcorn and we got the beer.